Hi there, I'm Patrick Day, Artistic Director of Young Actor Space. I'm here with one of our alums, Camaron Engels, which I'm so
Yeah.
excited about. Cameron has been studying with me for 15 years. He is a very talented young man with a super heart who's known best for his role on the Netflix series Malibu Rescue. You'll be able to catch him in the upcoming film adaptation of Romeo and Juliet as the titular character, which is currently in post-production. Cameron, welcome and thank you
Hey,
for being here.
thank you for having me. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Yeah, well, I'm honored you're sharing your time with us.
Of
So
course,
I'm just
of
going to
course.
have a list of questions for you
Okay.
and hear what your thoughts are. First of all, what actors do you love and why?
Uh, my my favorite actors. My favorite actors I would say right now are and always will be Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Matt Damon, Tom Hardy, Margot Robbie, Regina. Yeah, and I think when I when I think of all those actors, there's like one thing that comes to my mind, and it's just authenticity. And they all, to me, have found a way to be themselves authentically within each of the characters. And I think that is something that I personally try to reach for. I think sometimes I used to separate it and be like, I need to be whoever this character is as much as I can and not be myself. I need to transform and be this person as much. But finding that commonality, that common place between their characters and who they are, I feel like they hit it on the nail every single time. And it's something that makes me want to watch what they're doing more because
It's
they're
like there's
living
a piece,
truthfully in it.
yeah, there's a piece of you in every character you play, and then you
Yeah,
sort of step into the shoes of that character and then branch out from there, in a sense.
exactly.
Those are a wonderful
Yeah,
list of factors. That's great.
yeah, yeah.
What is your scariest moment on set?
My scariest moment on set, I have two,
Great.
and one was more of a like unexpected situation, and the other one was just a repetitive situation that I had to get used to. And by the end of it, me and my acting partner were very comfortable and best friends. But the first one was recently on the project that I'm working on right now. I'm working on a show called Clickbait that is going to be on Netflix, and it is a entire series. We are stopped. We're stopping right now, but I'm excited to go back. But I actually had an anaphylactic reaction, and I still to this day am trying to figure out what I'm allergic to. But right now, what's on the table? Pumpkin and horses.
Interesting.
Those are yes, two very similar things, very common for everyone to be around pumpkin and horses.
Now, let me ask you
But
this. You're shooting this in Australia, correct?
yeah, we're shooting this in
So
Australia.
is that a common thing for craft service to carry both pumpkin and horses for lunch?
Yes, yes. You know how you have tea? It's also pumpkin and horses that comes
Interesting.
with it as well. Yes, yes, yes. But yeah, we were actually shooting on a vineyard, and it was by a farm, and so there were horses and sheep, and so I went to go pet some of the horses because I'd never seen like a baby horse, and there were like three of them, and they came up to me, and I touched it, and I ate a bunch of pumpkin with like cooked roasted pumpkin, which I've never had. And then about 30 minutes later, when we went to go shoot, I started having a reaction and started literally blistering up like Will Smith from Hitch. And my whole face was swollen and got rushed to the hospital and had to stop shooting for the day. And I spent the rest of the day there until we figured it out. And 2 days later, I was back on set.
Wow, that
So
is great. So now you had never had a reaction to pumpkin before. Have you ever had pumpkin pie or pumpkin
I've
seeds?
had pumpkin before. I've had a pumpkin pie before, and I've actually worked with horses when I was younger. I actually love horses, which is why I went up to them so easily. But yeah, it's weird. Honestly, it's the hardest thing in the world to make an appointment to find someone to figure out what it is. So I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely one scary moment. And the other scary moment was for a film that I cannot talk about yet, but will be coming out soon. I worked on recently, and my partner and I both were experiencing our first times having to do a sex scene. And this is a comedy. It's a comedy, so it's lighthearted. You know, it's not very passionate. You know, it's not very intense. So we were able to find the fun moments in it. But yeah, that was definitely. Oh, I forgot to mention, I had to have 9 of those, 9 sex scenes with the same person in
9
different places.
sort of awkward sex scenes. Is that?
Yeah, kind of awkward. Like, we're young high schoolers, figuring it out, trying to, you know, be mature about it, but we don't know what we're doing really. And that was something that was very scary to even approach, to talk about how to be comfortable with. This is actually something, like, oddly enough, as an actor, I mean, maybe other actors have thought about this, but I'm like, wow, what's going to happen in that moment when I actually have to do that? Like,
You know,
is it going to be...
one thing that we do talk about, and I'm sure they talk to you about this. Fortunately, we're at a time now where they're having intimacy coaches show up on set.
Yes, we had one. We had one. We had one on set.
Wonderful. For years here at Young Actor Space, we always talked about, you treat kissing scenes, sex scenes, and stunt scenes, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah.
Almost like you're going to the doctor. You have the conversation before. Here's what I'm comfortable with. Here's what I'm not comfortable with.
Yes.
You have that with your scene partner. You also have that with your director, so that everybody's on the same page, so that on the day when you're under the gun and you've got the lights and the crew, or if it's a closed set or anything, you can actually, you and your scene partner know what the parameters are, and then you're free to sort of play within those parameters. Did you have that discussion with your scene partner?
Yes, I actually reached out to my scene partner before we even had the table read, and because I was thinking about it so much, I just told her, I don't know if this is her first time, this is my first time, and I'd love to just meet and talk about it and see where we are comfort-wise. And we both knew that we were going to have an intimacy coach beforehand, because we had gotten an email with like a contract saying like what we are going to be asked to do, and if we are okay with that, and that like what will be on set. And so we knew what was coming up, but I personally just wanted to reach out. And once we talked, we were like super open with each other, super comfortable. We got on set. She was like, oh, that's great that you guys got to talk beforehand. That makes this whole thing even easier for all 3 of us. And yeah, we just laid it out right there. And because each scene was pretty much the same, like, the same rules applied every time, but she would always come and check in and be like, hey, are you comfortable with this? And if the director ever changed anything, she would always come and be like, hey, are you guys comfortable with this? You know, so there's definitely a respect, and that's something that I'm glad now to this day that I know that that's going to be a thing, because it honestly was kind of like a fear for me, like, how am I going to be myself and still remember my lines while all this is going, and making sure that that person's comfortable and I look good and all these different things. But there are a bunch of people on set that make sure everyone is comfortable. They make sure everybody's offset. They make sure there's no one talking. They make sure everybody's like in the scene and respecting everybody's space. So I really, I was scared of it at first, and it was definitely the scariest moment for me. But it actually ended up being okay towards the end. It was scary every single time, though. Terrifying.
It's so important to treat this stuff professionally, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we have to remember that, because as an actor,
Yeah.
you're very raw. If you're doing your job, you're up there, you're very raw. Even if it's comedic, it's still raw. So
yeah,
that leads me to my next question. What does a good director give you? What do you like from a good director?
Man, not to bring this show up again that I'm working on, but this is the first time where we're shooting 8 episodes. It's the first time where I have had 4 different directors for one project. So for each 2 episodes, we have a different director. And it's because every single episode is through the perspective of one of the main characters. So each director kind of has their take on 2 of the characters, because there are 2 characters in the story. It's a family, but 2 of them kind of live in the same world more so. So like, you know, my mother and I live in the same world more than like my father and I live in the same world. So the director is able to like work with these 2 characters in the first 2 episodes, which are through their perspectives more, and then pass it on. And there's something interesting about it. Well, obviously there's going to be something interesting about it, but there has been something, I don't know what the word is, but like I was, again, anything that's new is a little bit scary. I go in excited, but this was definitely something that I was like, also like, wow, I don't know what it's going to feel like to have to adjust how my conversation is, you know, with the directors, like each and every time we do a different episode. But it's actually been great, and something that I do look for in a director and that I love and have loved in each one of them is just communication. I'm just a person about communication. You know, there are some directors who have a vision. They're going to come in and they're going to say, this is what I see. Do what you got to do, but this is where I want the scene to go. And I would love it if you could stand here. And that might not be where you saw that you wanted to stand, but if there's a vision and they're communicating it to you and you understand that, okay, I see what you're trying to do, then that makes me even more open to just hopping in. You know what I mean? There's some directors who want to communicate and go, hey, look, man, the lines, they're there. Do what you got to do. As long as you know, stay within the realms of like whatever's happening, I'm cool with whatever happens. That's them communicating it to me, because communication just allows me to know when I'm allowed to say something, when I'm allowed to play around more, when we're just trying to get the shot. Like, we don't want any improv. We just need the shot from this angle. So just stick to facing this way. Communication to me is key. I think sometimes my experience with some directors have been more like, they'll just go, okay, so you're going to do this, 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 and this. Okay, cool, thanks. And they won't tell me why. And for me, sometimes I've been conflicted where I'm like, well, that doesn't even feel natural to me to do that. And I get that that's like what you want, but like it doesn't make sense to me. At least can you make it make sense to me so that I can live truthfully within the circumstance? Because you're not really making it make sense to me. You're just telling me to do it. And now I don't feel like an actor. I just feel like a placement. Like, you know what I mean?
It's so interesting. Yeah. There's an old Jim Morrison quote from The Doors where he's up on stage and he's, you know, performing, and he says in the mic, because the audience is screaming too much, he goes, "Give the singer some, man." And that sounds to me like what you're saying, like, give the actor some. I'm here trying to do my job. I'm trying to get our vision across. So I agree with you that communication is
Communication is key. And I mean, being open too is really a big thing, because there have been some times where directors are like, I really don't see it. I don't see what you're saying, but hey, just try it. We'll see what happens. Then we do it and they go, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. No. I see what you're saying now. Okay. Let's actually go in that direction a little bit more, but let's tweak it this way. You know what I mean? Just being open to the idea allows this like free play to just have all the possibilities happen to me. I've always noticed that's made a palpable and a very just, I don't know, a good process. The process has always turned out really well.
Good. Did you ever regret not taking a role?
When I was younger, I used to feel like if I turned down a role, it was the end of my career. Like, that person was going to tell every single agent and person that Camaron Engels turned down my role, and I'm going to tell them to never hire him again. That was my fear when I was younger. I was like, I had to take this or else they're never going to give me a chance again. They're going to just cut my name off the list and they're going to forget about me. You have to take every single thing, every opportunity, everything. That's what I always used to tell my mom. And she would, I would go back and forth. My mom was like, no, like, you're doing fine here. You got this one. You don't need to do that right now. I was fortunate enough to be working and have choices, which isn't always the case, but I was fortunate enough to be able to have that. And I now, as I get older, I've never regret turning down a role, because I believe in destiny and I believe where I am is where I'm supposed to be. And I've always noticed that every single time I have turned down a role, not because I didn't want to do it, but turned it down because it was just an inconvenient time. I had something serious happening. I couldn't really do it, or it would just be easier if I didn't take it, so then I could focus on another thing.
And the focus worked out. Cam, multi-talented, super smart, between going to college and getting your degree and dancing and your cam talks. You have so many pots boiling, which is great.
Yeah.
And so juggling all of that, I can imagine, can be very challenging.
Yes. Yes.
And so keeping your head on straight while juggling all of that is a really challenging part of this whole career as well.
It is. And I think that's the number one. I mean, why do we do this? Like, I do it because I love it. As soon as it starts to feel like a job or something that I have to do, why am I doing it? You know what I mean? And so once I realized that, I was like, this isn't going to be the best thing for me right now. So I don't need to take this. And
were you always supported as an artist by your friends and family, or did you come across moments in life where that wasn't the case?
I was actually always supported. Like, from the moment I wanted to start pursuing it, my mom and grandmother said, and they've always been like this, because I was one of those kids, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to try every sport. I wanted to try every type of food. I wanted to try everything. I didn't care what it was. I just wanted to try all of it. And I found that I was pretty good at everything that I tried. And then I would be like, well, I want to do all of these things. And I never could decide. But my mom would always make me commit. And I think that's why I always got good at those things. Because my mom was like, okay, if you're going to do this, I'm going to make you go every single day. You're going to practice for an hour every single day. You're going to commit because I'm paying for this. And you're paying for your time. And you have to commit the time. You can't half, like, play this. You can't, like,
right,
act like, you know what I mean? And so for me, I always just go for it.
Good. Wonderful.
Yeah. And I have that support because I go for it and because I commit to it. And I never really had any confliction with it. Like, my mom and grandmother have been supportive since day one. Like, the only reason I got into acting really was because my grandmother took me to plays all the time. And I got to see other kids on stage that looked like me. And that made me want to do it. And, I was a good kid overall. I had good grades. And it wasn't like I was just trying to do things to get out of the way. Because when I was younger, kids wanted to be actor just to be an actor and be on TV and be famous and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
isn't that interesting? You go see performances, you go see theater, you're in class or something, and you see other people are doing and achieving. And in a sense, it gives you permission to do what you love because you're watching an example of something else.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. What do you love about being on set?
I just love the energy that's on set. The energy on set is infectious, and it makes you want to produce the best work ever because everybody is there with the same collective idea and the same collective purpose to make whatever story we are trying to be told make the most sense, be the most truthful it could be, and everyone get what they need done and feels happy at the end of the day. We're all trying to make everybody happy at the end of the day. Like,
that collaborative thing about everybody working towards the same goal, but in different parts driving towards it. That feeling. Yeah. I agree with you. It's just so wonderful to show up.
Seeing how
we're playing today and we're all playing together in a sandbox.
Yeah.
People we've never met. Let's do this.
Yeah. It's like presentation day every single time you do a scene, because at some point you need one person to come out and go, okay, this is a focus lens idea. Where's Catherine? Catherine, can you come in? Yeah, can you explain what's going on? All of a sudden, all the directors, producers, actors, boom person, sound person, all become students. And for 5 minutes, they're just listening to her. She's like, okay, so, all right, we need to put the focal lens on here, da-da-da-da-da. And people are like, oh, yeah. Okay, cool. And it's just so cool to see grown-ups. Like, you remember when you were a kid and you were in a project and you wanted to be the leader? You wanted to be the person that was like, okay, so I came up with this idea. Or you wanted to be the person that was like, no, I came up with this idea. No, I was the person. Now you're just sitting here and you're like, no, we all are amazing at what we do. And so now let's just let each other shine for a second and figure out how we're going to get to this end product, because we have to listen to this person in order to get there. You know what I mean? It's not even a question.
Yeah.
Every single person is important. It's a valuable part.
It's also the focus, you know, you see everybody focused towards a common goal.
Yeah.
This next question is, I'm interested to hear your answer to this. What would you like your grandchild or children to remember about you when you're no longer here? I know that's a tough one. I got a couple for you today. So.
I'm such a present person that doesn't like to think of the future, but I do have wild dreams. And I actually have had a dream about this, of me like being in the ether, in space, in the astral world, and like looking down at my grandchildren and them looking at pictures of me and a photo album like I've looked at of like my great grandparents and stuff with my grandmother, and them seeing like pictures of me like on a podium talking, and you know, on the red carpet with Will Smith, and like just doing all these different things, and but all of them being positive things. Like there was one where I was like rock climbing with a bunch of people, and like at the top we like cut a ribbon because we were like cleaning the mountain or something. Like it was just a whole bunch of random stuff, but it was all in the realm of things that I want to be known for. And that's just someone that lived truthfully in everything that he did and gave back in whatever way he could. And right now I'm just trying to figure out what kind of artist I am, who I am as a person, and really honing in on it, accepting it, building up on it, and hopefully, you know, I eventually get to a point where I'm able to use this gift that I have and actually impact people, not just emotionally, but help them with like funding schools, or like, you know, building a theater, or being able to do something on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? Leaving like a physical imprint here for when I leave. You know what I mean?
That's great. And you know how I always encourage you guys to follow your dreams. So if you're having those kind of lucid dreams like that, that's beautiful. Keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that same note, and I know this doesn't have to do with living in the present, so I apologize a little bit to begin this, but I know this is a daunting question, but it harkens back to what we've all heard. Where do you see your career in 20 years?
20 years. I see myself, I'm 25, 45. Oh yeah. Okay, so 45, I have to be a successful actor. Like for sure, I might even have been taking a break for like 5 years and with my wife and kids. Like I definitely think I will have a wife and kids by the time I'm 45, and I'll probably be thinking about my family a little bit more. And hopefully I'm a seasoned actor who has some great films and TV shows underneath his belt, and has been on Dancing with the Stars and has won every single year for like 12 years in a row because he's an amazing dancer, and has his own podcast show / radio show, and is inspiring the world, and is just got got all my businesses and got all my, you know, I'm working different things, and I've got a family, and yeah, that's where I see myself at 45 for sure.
Awesome. Tell me about your first agent, how you got your first agent.
My first agent was Bobby Ball Agency, and it was with Darcy and Bill. And how I got it actually was through an acting.
Who are you are still with?
Who I'm still with actually now, but they are my management now instead of my agent, and I have a new agent now. Yeah, but they moved into management now. But yeah, it was Bobby Ball Agency, which is a small boutique agency, and I actually was taking an acting class that I got in because actually this is when I first started acting. It was about when I was 10. It was my first acting class, and I started it because my teacher told my mom she needed her to find something for me to get my energy out, because I was a lot in class, and it was just hard because I was a good student, but I just had a lot of energy. And my mom was like, we put him in every single sport. He does everything. We don't know what to do. They're like, try acting class. Do you want to try acting class? And I was like, maybe. I guess maybe I want to do it. And then I went to go see The Lion King with my grandmother. And that's when I saw the kid that looks like me. And I was standing on the seat screaming. And I was like, I want to do that. And then my grandma was like, okay, so we're going to put you in an acting class. So I went to an acting class, and at the end of it, they had a bunch of managers and agents come out, and Darcy was there. And I did an Agos commercial, which I had practiced for a whole month to perform this Agos commercial. And I did the Agos commercial, and apparently my Agos commercial was a little bit better than the other kids, because Darcy came up to me and said, hey, you sold the heck out of that Agos commercial, and we would love to see you in a day or two to see if you'd be interested in taking this seriously. And sure enough, I went there, did my Agos commercial again, did another monologue, really talked about if this was something I wanted to do, talked about the commitment, and before I knew it, I was out and about, going on auditions, putting my name out there, and that's how it all started.
I can't say enough nice things about Darcy and Bill, obviously, but I also
that's family.
I love the fact that's beautiful, and I love the fact that that was your first agent, and you've been with them this long, because that's rare, man. That's rare.
It really is.
It's connected in a way that it's all working. It's a beautiful thing, because this is not necessarily. It's an industry of relationships, but they don't always remain the same for this long. And your relationships obviously have evolved now, and she's now into management, and they're doing other things as well. But it's really cool.
But no, it's true. I mean, relationships are relationships, but loyalty doesn't always come. And I definitely, they were with me since I started, which was when I was 10, and then I stopped when I was about 15 or 16 to focus on going to college. And I told them I still really want to do this. Went to college, you know what I mean? I went and got a BFA in acting. And literally the day that I was done with school, the day Darcy had called me, I didn't even know she had my number, or that I don't even know how she got my number, actually. I think she asked my mom, because I had a different phone. I definitely had a different phone. I was like, how did you get my number? She's like, oh, I asked your mom. Like, obviously we still stay in contact, which was like crazy, because I would talk, every once in a blue moon to her, but I didn't know that she was keeping up with everything that I was doing in college and all of my shows and everything with my mom and my grandmother on Facebook. So she was like, as soon as he's done, we're going to reach out to him, because we had such a positive experience those 5 or 6 years, So
well, I know
I knew right away that I could trust them.
You were off in Boston, but we were all sort of talking about you the whole time in a very positive way, just so you know. I don't know if you even knew that, but no, but this is really true. This is really true. I would talk to Darcy about you and where you're at and how soon. And so even though you were living a whole nother life, you were still in our realm out here, which is a testament to who you are and to your talent.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I have a couple more questions to ask you.
Okay.
They might be a little easier than the other ones I've said. If you could remake any movie and put yourself in it or direct it, what would it be?
Any movie that involves the main character kissing Halle Berry or Margot Robbie. I don't know what movie that is. I don't know how many there are. But whichever ones those are, I would love to remake them and put me as the lead of that guy. Whoever that is, I don't care what the scene is. I could die. That could be the end of it for me. And if it was that's what I want to do.
Maybe you should start writing it.
Yeah, I should start it. But honestly, I have this thought all the time, and I guess maybe it's not an ego thing. It's never like, oh, I could do it better. It's just, man, I would have loved to have done that with me in it to see what it's like. But for one, I think every single Will Smith movie that's ever been made should be remade by me. That's just.
Those are big shoes to fit into. Those are big shoes to fit into.
Hey, listen, I would love to try to, because I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like I know he has sons. Obviously, he has kids who are probably closer to him than I am, obviously, in genes. But I just think I'm the second Will Smith. And when he did Gemini Man, I was like, why are you doing this, stuff with the face? You could just have me be you, and then we could be fighting each other, because we look exactly the same. We're the same person. But I would definitely want to be have you seen Grand Budapest Hotel?
Yes.
okay, so I love Wes Anderson. I love like all of his stuff, but I would want to be the boy. I would love to have been that role. That role is, I laugh. I watched that movie probably at least once going or coming back from any trip that I go on an airplane. I always watch it. It's always available. If it's available, I'm watching it. I don't know what it is about that role, but that's definitely something I would love to just put myself into that place. And
Are you
also,
a fan of Wes Anderson movies? Are you,
yeah,
you like all his
yeah,
stuff? Yeah, I think
yes.
it's that quirky way of telling a story that I really
It's so
love.
cheeky.
Yeah.
It is so cheeky, but so specific. He's so detailed at the same time. He catches like a little wince in your mouth, a little like squint or something, and I'll like focus on it and it'll go back. And it's just the subtleties that are so comedic to me, and I love it.
The behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cameron, we are out of time, but
Okay.
I'm so grateful that you took the time to spend with us here today. And
Of course.
so excited for all of the success that's been happening for you recently. And I'm even more excited for what's to come because I can see it. I've seen it for years and now it's happening and it's just going to keep happening more. So thank you. Thank you for doing this interview with us. And I can't wait to see you soon in person.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And just so everyone knows, I would not be able to do any of this without this man right here. He's been with me since the beginning. I know I love what I do, but he helps me get to where I need to get to and gives me the confidence that I need. And I know I'm not the only person that would vouch for the skill and love that Patrick Day holds inside of his big heart. And so that's the reason why I also did this, is because I love you, man. And it's always going to be the same. And I can't wait to see where I am 20 years, where we are 20 years from now.
Me neither. I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Yeah, man.
Great day, Cam.
Thank you. You as well.